I forgot to start the recording at the beginning. That's all right.
That's right. So I don't know much more about it than that. I've read a couple of things from some people that are leaders in my industry that say there's really nothing to worry about because ChatGPT can't write with personality.
Not yet.
Yeah. It'll never be able to.
I was listening to the Verge podcast and where they talk about tech stuff. And wait, was it the Verge? Yeah, I think it was the Verge podcast. And they were talking. I thought this one guy came up with a sort of a brilliant thing. He thinks that the internet is going to eventually basically split into two. One that's basically run by robots, read by robots, and it'll be like a Yellow Pages where you can go look for stuff that you're shopping for and just look at the ads, and then one that's people talking to people.
I can see that.
Like, and I what I was thinking about it is really what it'll end up being is more, Facebook getting rid of, or a system like Facebook or Twitter or something getting rid of a lot of ads. So it's more people to people, and the rest of the internet being, robot to robot, basically. Well,
I think that in the industry that I'm in, there's two big there's the B2B side and there's the H2H side. And that's the thing that ChatGPT can't do is the H2H side. It literally is impossible for it to do that because it's an algorithm, not a person. And so it can't make the oddball connections, and it doesn't know anything about nuance, and it doesn't know it really can't. It can imitate nuance, but it does it poorly because it cannot replicate the moment when a person has a brilliant idea, even if that idea is just within like a single sentence that they're writing. It'll just never do that. It's not going to be worth it.
Yeah.
For people to pay good money for it until it can beat out somebody at great stand-up. And it has to be original stand-up. If it can write at a completely original topical stand-up thing and kill on stage, so to speak, then I would start being scared of it.
That's actually, I don't know if you meant that seriously, but that's actually a good yardstick. I don't think of it in terms of that way, but yeah.
Because it's a human thing, man. Humor is a human thing. And insults are a human thing. So if it can do those human things, then that's when we should be concerned as writers. But it just can't. It can't do the stuff that like, how's it going to write transitional headlines, and how's it going to shut it all the way.
You can let the dog in.
Thank you. Jesus. It just can't do the things that people can do. It can't. It doesn't have imagination. That's what it is. It doesn't have imagination, and it cannot have imagination. It can replicate complex structure. There's no doubt about that. But it cannot replicate. It cannot have imagination.
Huh.
That's impossible. So it's pointless, and there are people that will use it to, like I said, that guy said, to fill out all the stuff that doesn't matter. You know?
Well,
but
there was also they were talking about some guy who said he wanted to design this made me really want to look into it, but said I want to design a website that generates $100 million in revenue. And this ChatGPT basically wrote up a website, and now it actually does have a little bit of a revenue stream, but that's because he did this all in public, and people are clicking in to see what it's all about, and so it's kind of gone a little viral. But there's that, and then the other thing they said that it's going to be really great for Excel spreadsheets, writing formulas and stuff like that.
I mean, yay! That's something that I don't think anybody really needs to spend their time on, writing formulas. We already are cutting and pasting them to begin with for the most part. So, it's basically what it's doing is it's taken over the repetitious and tasks that aren't that are just computorial and stuff like that. It's not doing the heavy lifting of imagining new things. Here's the thing: it can't create. It can only replicate, and that's the thing that makes the biggest difference. And I think the yardstick I put out there is a damn good one. Maybe I should write an article about that.
You should. I thought that was a great way of looking at it. All right. The other topic I have, and this would be just basically completely stealing from the Verge podcast, but I just thought it was a really great philosophical article. Apparently, the Verge.
I'm still here.
Yeah, the Verge was able to write a story where they got to use the title "The Moon is Not Real," and the guys who run the article go, it is the fact that he was able to use that title and get it past the editors was what they were thrilled by for him. But basically, what he was doing is writing a story about how I guess Samsung is the one they were specifically talking about, but all of the different cell phone. I think it's only in cell phones they were talking about this. But if you take a picture of the moon, you point your camera and you take a blurry picture of the moon, that Samsung will automatically fix it in your pictures. With
why?
Because and when the guy was talking about, I said he interviewed the guy, said their function when they were working on these cameras was that people don't want to take bad pictures. So the moon is easily replicated. We only see famously one side of the moon. There's a little bit of rotation, but it's always the same facing the Earth. So they can take pictures of it and make sure that your picture is correct based on, where you're standing. It's not blurry, it's clean. And there's grown up this entire philosophical discussion about how, well, then is anybody really taking a real picture? Or are you it's just flip art, And
I mean, that's a damn good question. What else out there are they doing that for?
It was very interesting. Philosophically, it was a very interesting question to me. And the one guy said, he goes, any photographer, and I'm also an amateur photographer, will tell you the terminology you use is you're making a picture. You're not taking a picture, because especially with digital, but even on film, when I was in high school and learned how to develop film and stuff, you adjust everything. You adjust the color, you adjust the lighting and exposure and stuff like that. And you click the camera, but that's not all that goes into it. So how much of that is actually adjusting what people are seeing to make it look better than what you actually took a picture of?
That's all of Instagram right now.
Yeah.
But that's conscious. That's conscious on Instagram. It's not. It's a choice people make to smooth out their features and things like that. But the thing about the moon, that's an unconscious. You don't get to make that choice. So, and here's where that's going to lead, Dave. The science fiction writer in me is already zooming ahead on this thing. What's going to happen? And I'm always right. What's going to happen is major manufacturers are going to have contracts with people like Samsung and have their products stored in every configuration in high definition. So when somebody takes a picture of an Optima Hamburg, all right, it doesn't matter when they take that picture or where they take the picture or anything. Samsung will check it, and if it's even got the tiniest flaw, will replace it with the official image from Optima. That's what's going to happen. And you're going to have things like major brands are going to have in-camera advertising checks. So if you take a picture of a street and there's a Taco Bell on that street and it's an out-of-date sign, then your camera will update the sign automatically because it'll have a contract with Taco Bell.
I wonder if it could do it the other way.
Well, that would be something you do by choice. Yeah. But this is, and I guarantee you remember me saying this, I guarantee you this is going to happen. It'll happen within the next 5 years.
That's very interesting.
Just like with the GPS, when I saw GPS come out, and I wrote this in a story like 20 years ago or more, 25 years ago, I think, before I moved to Chicago, might be even longer than that. When electronic guidance systems first came out, I tested one for AAA for a story for a magazine. And I wrote a big humorous story about it. But one of the things that I said in the story as a joke, but I was dead serious about it, is that eventually these things are going to know how close we are to a Taco Bell, and they're going to know our past preferences, and they're going to say, hey, and they'll know our name, which they do, and they go, hey, Bull, feel like a taco? And then we'll go around the corner and there's a Taco Bell. And this happens now. Because when you use Waze, how often do you see little things pop up and says, "Hey, there's Dunkin' Donuts just around the corner"? It does that for all cops, but for me, it'll say like there's a stationery shop. And I know for most people in Southern Illinois, it lets them know where all the gun ranges are, but it's already doing that now.
I remember, you bring up GPS. I remember when I was in the Marine Corps, God, 40 years ago. How old?
You're 107.
Almost 40 years ago. We used GPS all the time. And it was not available to the general public back then. When GPS first started, it was only the military that used it, and it was secret. And but we used it in the Marine Corps, especially when we were working with the tank guys. The tank guys used it all the time. When we were in 29 Palms and you were on a tank, they would be able to tell where they were at and which way they were going, even though everything looked like desert, And I remember a guy, the first guy I ever saw with a cell phone in his car, and he was just a young guy who had nice cars and spent all his money on gadgets and shit. And this was, and he could call his relatives. And I remember him, I vividly remember him saying this, they ought to do this so they can put them in phones so that everybody can just, get the
Oh my God.
And my sergeant's like, oh, don't be stupid. That's never going to happen. Of course, it's just some military hardware. We can't just give it out to anybody.
And his name was Steve Jobs. All right. How much time do we have? Because I have something to talk about.
All right. We have 10 minutes. So go ahead.
All right. So I think I found a new way to pigeonhole people. Oh, crap.
To pigeonhole them and then throw crap on them? Like a pigeon does? Like an Indiana pigeon?
I didn't write the whole idea down. Oh, yeah. Now I remember. Yeah. I'm just asking, like, what are other ways? So you and I can walk up to somebody from our generation, just not even know them, literally walk up to a guy with a white beard in an oyster bar in Dunedin, Florida, and go, hey, and the guy look at you and you'll say, Ginger Marianne, and he will fucking answer you.
Right.
All right. What other things are there that are like that? I think you could come up to somebody, you could probably say Star Wars or Star Trek. They might answer, but I don't know. That might be too vague. But what are things that are like Ginger Marianne that are just instantaneous, like they will answer you?
Well, Coke or Pepsi.
Yeah.
McDonald's or Burger King. I'm just trying to think of pop culture stuff. I would have said Star Trek and Star Wars.
I mean,
Baseball,
are you a Star Wars guy or are you a Star Trek guy?
When I was younger, I was more of a Star Wars guy. Lately, I mean, they haven't produced that many Star Wars, so I like Star Trek just as well, probably.
You have not seen the
I didn't like the original Star Trek. I didn't like the original Star Trek.
What?
I liked all the follow-on ones.
So you're just a maniac, is what you are. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, White Snake or REO Speedwagon. I mean, there's got to be something like that.
Well, Led Zeppelin and the Beatles.
They're so far apart, though. But yeah, that could work. Zepp or Beatles, Grateful Dead, or
David Bowie, or who's the guy from Genesis? That Peter Gabriel. David Bowie or Peter Gabriel?
Oh, that's kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, clearly David Bowie, but
no, Peter Gabriel.
Fuck off. Not a. He's such an idiot. Shit, I thought that was going to be a much bigger conversation. How about this? I'm going back to school.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, angry
obedience
style.
Training?
I mean, it should be. I have tried to get, I do freelance, right? And I'm trying to level up my game lately. And because I'm starting to kind of hang out with some people that are players in my field. And and I was like, shit, if I'm hanging out with these guys, I'm one of these guys, Right. So I'm trying to level up my game. And I went for some jobs. And and every one of them was like, we're sorry, we can't hire you as much as we'd like to because you don't have a degree. And I don't mean jobs like actual being employed by them. I mean freelance jobs. Like they can't contract me because I don't have a degree.
That's ridiculous.
No, it's the thing is it's very specialized fields like technical writing and medical professional writing.
Yeah.
So it's not just plain old blog stuff. This is very technical, high level, C-level writing. And they're like, our policy is this, and we just can't. Your writing's great, but we can't hire you. And I just got mad. And then I tried. I was like, all right, I'll get some certificates. So I wanted to go get a technical writing certificate or a professional medical writing certificate because the jobs are insane for that. And I can't get the medical one because I don't have a degree. And the technical writing one, they won't even let me apply for it. The technical writing one cost me more because I don't have a degree. And so I looked up the cheapest online degree I can get, and that's what I'm doing.
New Hampshire?
Vermont.
Oh.
Wait, what's in New Hampshire?
I don't know. I see their Southern New Hampshire University. I see their commercials all the time.
Oh, no, wait. That is it. Yeah, that's it. It's the cheapest one out there. And although I can't decide if I'm going to do communications or marketing, but it's going to be 2 years of my life. I know it's really late for me to do it, but I'm just tired of. It's not even going to be 2 years. It's probably going to be over the summer. And
I talked to Dick Zuley the other day, and he just finished his master's degree.
Yeah, it's weird. My friend just finished his master's degree. He's older than I am.
Right.
So
there's nothing wrong with that.
I mean, if you think about it, with the medical care and stuff, you and I are probably late middle aged anyway.
Right.
We got a lot ahead of us in terms of what we could be doing. I mean, you're not going to be able to shoot kids anymore like you used to at work, but you just won't have that opportunity. But I mean, we can still write stuff.
Yeah. Well, you can also if you get the Internet Reverend thing, so you can call yourself the Reverend Doctor.
I've already got that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You know anyone who doesn't have that? I mean, it was $14 and now I'm ordained. Hell yeah, I got that.
One of my officers, I was sort of giving him a hard time because he put in for marriage leave. So he's getting married at the end of the month or next month, I think. And so I was saying, so are you going somewhere? And Henry goes, oh, no, not yet. We're just going to go do it at the courthouse. And then we're going to take a trip later in the year. And I said, at the courthouse, bring her in here. Let's do it in roll call. We'll do it, at the beginning of a shift.
Don't miss work.
People that are I'll get an Internet Reverend. I'll do it for you. It'd be a fun way to end my career. Let's
The only caught marriage during roll call. Let's be careful out there.
My wife and I we got a couple of minutes. All right. So my wife and I, when we got married, that's kind of a planning of a wedding is the woman's sort of prerogative. Basically, whatever she wants is what we did. But because my father-in-law and I didn't necessarily agree that this was the funnest way to do it, we sort of shadow planned a wedding, and it was
shadow planned.
It was shadow planned a wedding, and because everybody sort of made fun of us when we brought it up, and we just said it could never be done. So we actually went ahead and we were planning a wedding at Wrigley Field. Yeah, at Wrigley Field, and my idea was that we would have the priest stand where the umpire does. We'd walk in from the mound to the plate, and the bridesmaids would be and the groomsmen would be lined up down the first base and third base line. The invitations would be like tickets. I mean, we had a whole freaking plan. I'm not joking. And my father-in-law thought it was such a great idea that we called Wrigley Field to see if we could do this. And I got married in October. So they said that they would do it. There would be a $5,000 reservation fee. And
It's not much.
The insurance would not allow it to happen if the Cubs went to the World Series. This is back in '93, so it wasn't likely. Or if the weather didn't cooperate. If it rained, we could not go out on the field and do the wedding.
Well, then you should have one of those field. All the groomsmen should go out and grab a tarp and run it across. But the tarp has to be wedding white, and they all pull it across like that.
So anyway, once we brought this all up to my wife did think it was a great idea, but nobody wanted to take the chance that it would rain. We were all willing to take the chance that the Cubs would make the World Series that year, but we were not willing to make sure. And as it turned out, it did rain on my wedding day. So
wow.
we made the right choice.
Like rain on your wedding day.
It's been a family story that we've told over the years, and now we're approaching our 30th anniversary. And my wife came up with an idea last year. We went to the Chicago Police versus the Chicago Fire baseball teams games in October in Wrigley Field. And my wife goes, what you ought to do? You ought to find out who's running these baseball teams and see if we can renew our vows at home plate next year. And we could have, we could tell them, hey, listen, we'll buy 100 tickets to get, we'll invite, 100 people. We'll make sure that 100 tickets are sold. And all we need is, 20 minutes to renew our vows in front of everybody and a microphone, and that's it. And I'm I was telling my older daughter this. I was saying, my son could be the best man. My younger daughter would be the maid of honor. And so my older daughter's like, well, what am I going to do? I said, you're going to do the ceremony. You're the internet reverend in the family.
She should be a vendor.
And she was like, okay, I'll do that.
She should be bear.
So I'm trying to find the guy who runs the team and see if we can do that. So
hey, we have less than a minute left, so I wanted to tell you guys about how I discovered where D.B. Cooper left his treasure. So the thing is, you got to go out to Nevada, and you got to go on Highway 72, and you got to go 61 miles outside of Las Vegas, headed east.
Wait, 61?
61 miles on Highway 72.
Kilometers?
No, headed east. No, Dave, this is not a gay country. Headed east on Highway 72, and then what you're going